This week I check out a game that I've been meaning to play for a long time. Probably since I've seen a commercial on it, actually. It's Wet, a game from the company known as Bethesda. You know, the Elder Scrolls and Fallout 3 and Beyond games, guys. Yeah, they do other games besides them. Who'd have thunk it, right? So why did I want to play Wet so much? Honestly, I can't remember. I do seem to recall the commercial showing a badass chick jumping around off of buildings and knocking down thugs. I almost wanted to think it would be a female lead in a Devil May Cry style game. It's not quite that action oriented, but it's nice baits to start with. Wet stars Ruby Malone, a female merc who takes on contracts for the right amount of green. Right from the start, it shows her overseeing some sort of deal. When it goes wrong, she jumps into action. This first room/battle acts as the tutorial of the game. It'll teach you all the mechanics that you'll need in order to succeed in the game. Right from the start, you'll notice that the presentation style of the game is a bit different than most other third-person shooters. It takes on a Western film style. You'll constantly see the grainy filter, although this can be turned off in the options if you so choose. Whenever you fail one of the tutorial missions, the game will, for lack of better words, reload, and this happens with the cinematic reel style countdown. This also happens during your regular levels. Ruby may go through a door, the reel will stop and suddenly show an intermission. I can only assume that this is used instead of showing a normal loading screen, and it actually fits the game well. Combined with this Western feel, you'll also get an early style martial arts vibe to it. This is more common with some of the cutscenes that you'll view. I can't really explain much more on this, but take my word for it, that this game's scenes feel at home in a Western/martial arts movie. I guess that makes sense if you think about it. At least, it makes sense to me. Maybe it only makes sense to me because I'm tired and need more sleep. So the core piece of the game focuses around Ruby's combat skills. In this way, Wet feels almost like a more linear Devil May Cry. She carries a few guns and a sword. These guns do not have infinite ammo, with the only exception being the pistol. Just like many other games like this, you can switch between melee and firearms at ease. So yeah, that part's average, but the differentiating factor with this game is the necessity to do more stylistic moves. The game promotes flashy combat, so you'll be told that doing these moves will increase the amount of XP that you earn after every battle. These moves consist of sliding on the ground, jumping and diving at enemies, while running and swinging on poles. Killing enemies while performing these acrobatic moves will give you a multiplier, up to ×5 score. Once the battle is over, you'll be graded, and the better you do, the more bonus XP you earn. It's a very simple system to learn, and probably similar to other games you may have played. So all this XP gets used in your typical upgrade menu. This menu pops up after two scenarios. The first is at the end of a stage. The second is after one of the special killing room areas. I'll get to that after I'm done with discussing the XP menu. This menu allows you to upgrade things like more health, more ammo, more damage, you know, the normal stuff that almost every system like this has. Here's the catch though. This upgrade menu only pops up during these two situations. That is it. You can't access it in any other way, like the main menu, reloading a game, etc. The other catch is that if you accidentally back out of the upgrade menu, you cannot go back in until the next time you would normally engage in this menu. It can be a bitch when you accidentally back out when you had plenty of points to spend on new skills. But hey, that's how the game works, so it'll be something you have to deal with. Back to those kill rooms I just talked about. There's two special types of situations that Ruby encounters, other than the standard run through a stage shooting and slashing anything that moves. The first is what I call a kill room. Ruby enters a zone, and you'll be shown a few areas that need to be blocked off by shooting or slashing at a specified area, like a lever. This blocks off a door near the switch. Why would you do this? Well, these areas are like small arenas, and will force you to eliminate all enemies before allowing you to proceed. In addition, the enemies will keep respawning indefinitely from these doors. So without stopping the enemy flow, you're not going anywhere. Oh, and another reason to urge you to stop the enemies quicker? You only regen health in this game when you have a multiplier. And even with that, you don't replenish it very quickly. So you're better off eliminating your opposition as quickly as possible and just reaching one of the very common drink stations that also double as a health refill. Nothing like a bit of whiskey to get back to full health. The second special situation is what I think is called Rage Mode. Maybe I'm just making that up, but it seems to be accurate enough. Ruby opens a door, which always requires you to mash square, by the way, and an enemy rushes her. She shoots him once point blank in the face, blood smacks her, and she goes into a complete berserker rage. Everything turns red and black, and Ruby gets to run around, killing anything that approaches her in one quick blast or swipe. In this, Ruby also ditches the multiplier for just a chain count. Obviously, the higher you can get in this, the more that you earn at the end of this section. As opposed to Ruby trying to stop the enemies from coming, this is much more linear. Sometimes the reduced color palette can make navigation a bit more difficult, but it's still manageable. This mode is simple, but very fun. There's also a few challenge levels that Ruby has to navigate. These are based in Ruby's backyard, which also happens to be a junkyard. These challenges are primarily a checkpoint affair, in which Ruby runs through your yard, going through checkpoints and shooting down targets to gain more time. You can repeat these in an unlockable mode that has you do these in time trials. Not something I've done, but you can if you want. One thing that bugs me is that these challenges all take place before the real events of the game. Yet Ruby tests out new weapons in her yard. So why doesn't she start the game with all these weapons, instead of just her pistols? It doesn't make any sense to me. What else doesn't make much sense? The story. It's just something I couldn't follow. There are a few characters that come and go, yet most of the game, Ruby is chasing just a villain. You're not told why, at least not in a blunt manner. Sure, you see them kill another character, and another one gets kidnapped, and sorts, but it all feels way too fragmented in a way that makes it difficult to make heads or tails of. One thing you may have noticed is that much of the action is over the top, which makes it even more enjoyable. I mean, hell, there's a section where Ruby is falling out of a plane, and I can't help but think that this scene was taken directly from the movie Shoot 'Em Up. God, I love that movie! Anyway, the music tends to lend itself to the action, but it's not really my style of music. It's heavy on punk, and although I don't happen to be a huge punk fan, it does fit the game. If you want, you can access the soundtrack from within the game, but it's not something I did. Maybe it's just because I never heard of any of the bands. If there's one thing I really have to complain about, it's the platforming that you're sometimes forced to do. Ruby has the parkour skills that are common to action game heroes, but sometimes you go to jump somewhere, and then fall to your death because where you thought you'd be able to go, turns out to be a forbidden place. There were even a few times where the drop looked doable, but it happened to be an out-of-bounds section of the map, so it was back to the checkpoint with me. Sure, Ruby gets some sort of special vision that shows her where the grabbable ledges are, but it doesn't help to tell you where you should be moving to, and if you can make that leap. Overall, Wet is a fairly enjoyable game. I don't think I'd go out of my way to play it again, but for a weekend killer, it's definitely fun. It will remind you of a martial arts movie with a western feel, and even if the story is a bit lackluster, the action and presentation more than make up for it. Check it out. Final score? 8 out of 10. This is Reaper. Happy fragging.